Hello my friends, it's Lisa, and today I'm going to be recommending you some of my favorite books of 2021 based off of my Spotify Wrapped. So I'm going to be taking the top 5 most listened to songs that I listened to during this year and recommend books that kind of remind me of those songs, whether it's based off of the lyrics or just the overall tone and vibe of the song. Some of them might be a bit of a reach. I did have a few songs in my top 5 that kind of had similar messages or kind of a similar vibe, so it was kind of hard to find books for all of them, but I think I did a pretty good job. So I'm going to be going over my top 5 most listened to songs of the year and recommending books based off of that. I also did record my reaction to my Spotify Wrapped, so if you want to see me react to my top 5 artists and top 5 songs, you can continue on watching. I will include timestamps in the description if you don't really care about the reaction and you just want to get to the recommendation. That's totally fair. You can skip around to whatever part of the video you want to see, but I thought it would be fun to include my reactions in this video as well. Here we go. I hear Taylor Swift is playing already. I was the main character. Of course I was. This is a lot of intro. Thank you. My top song of the year was Butter. I knew that was gonna happen. I should have made predictions. I was gonna predict things. Hold on. We'll go back to that. I was gonna predict Butter was my top song. I think also Alcohol Free by Twice might make it. I think Olivia Rodrigo might make it. Taylor Swift, somewhere probably, I assume. I think my top artist, I think Taylor Swift and BTS are gonna be, one of them will be first and then one of them will be second. After that, I don't know. I feel like Olivia Rodrigo might make it there too. Then maybe Macy Peters. I don't know. I feel like that part is kind of up for open-ended. It's up for debate. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, we can get back into the Wrapped. I did want to do predictions. I forgot I wanted to do that. I feel like I listened to Butter more than 65 times, but I mean, maybe not. Oh my god. Psycho? Oh, there's so many things that I don't understand. I just wanted to know my top songs and my top artists. August is playing. Your top artist was Taylor Swift. 1% of her, yeah. That makes sense. That checks out. 4,157 minutes with Taylor Swift and couldn't get enough of August. Of course. Top artists. Oh, here we go. Taylor Swift, BTS, Macy Peters, Olivia Rodrigo, and IU. Wow, did I call that all or what? Other than IU. Wow. My mind. Okay, so I kind of nailed my predictions. Not to brag. It's like I know myself or something. It's like I only have 2 modes, Taylor Swift and BTS. Alright, so those are my reactions. On to the recommendations. Really quickly, before we jump into the video, I do just want to quickly shout out Rachel from Rachel Karras because she has done this last year and this year as well, so I wanted to give credit. I probably got the idea from her and didn't even realize, so I definitely would recommend checking her out, checking out her channel. I love her videos so much, so wanted to give credit there. But now we can get into the recommendations for my top 5 most played songs of the year and the books I think match up with that. So my number 1 most played song of the year was absolutely no surprise to me, and that was Butter by BTS. When that song first came out, I had it on repeat like that whole weekend, and then I've just continued to listen to it throughout the whole year, so I'm not surprised at all that that was my most played song of the year. So to me, Butter is more of like a just fun, summery love song. It's not, too serious. It's just like lighthearted and fun, and that's kind of where I went with this recommendation. It's not so much based off of the lyrics, it's more so based off of just how it's just like a fun, upbeat song. So for this, I'm going to be recommending The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This is a romance that I read this year that I just absolutely adored. I don't think I've shut up about this since I've read it. I just love it so much. So this is a fake dating, enemies to lovers, office sort of romance. So it kind of has a lot of fun things involved. We are following Catalina, whose family is from Spain, and she has moved to the US to pursue her career. She kind of wanted to get away from her family and also kind of get away from the guy that she was seeing at the time. She's had a hard time getting back into relationships because of that man, and she works with this guy named Aaron Blackford, who just saying his name brings me so much joy. But she works with Aaron Blackford, and he at the office overhears her telling her best friend that she has to go to Spain for her sister's wedding and she doesn't want to show up without a date because that would just be embarrassing. The guy that she was with is now engaged or has another girlfriend, he's seeing someone, and she doesn't want to show up by herself. So he proposes that he will be her fake date. He will go with her to the wedding in Spain, as long as she agrees to go with him on a date for himself as well. So they make this deal to be each other's dates for different events, and it's It is just top tier. It is so good. It is slow burn, which I know, not everyone loves. I love, so it was just chaos from start to finish. I was just waiting. It was the most invested I feel like I've been in a book in a very long time. But this book was just so much fun. There's a lot of banter between the characters, especially because they kind of don't get along at first. So it's just really fun. This is definitely a more lighthearted romance, a very fun romance. So I feel like it kind of matches the same vibes as Butter. It's just a song and a book that you just have a great time the whole time you're listening or reading it. It's just, I feel like they just match up, I don't know if the whole book takes place over the summer or if she's just going to Spain, but I feel like, Butter would be a good song to listen to like while you're there or like while you're on the plane there. It just gives the, same vibes. I don't know. I feel like they match up, and I also just wanted to recommend the Spanish Love Deception once again. So my second most played song of the year was Psycho by Macy Peters. So this song is kind of Macy addressing this guy who cheated on her and had kind of started dating around with other girls while he was with her, and she's kind of moved on. He's still calling her psycho. He's still trying to communicate with her, and she's just over it. She's done. She doesn't want to talk to him ever again. This is another one where I'm focusing more of like the tone of the song versus the actual lyrics, because this is a song that's very upbeat. It's very catchy. It gets stuck in your head, but she's also kind of roasting this guy, and you might not even realize that she's being like really sassy and like kind of roasting him because it's hidden underneath this like really pop fun beat. So I decided for this to recommend Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Satanto, because this is a book that kind of on the surface just seems like a fun and happy rom-com, but there's some more like, scary dark things happening throughout this book, but it also has a more lighthearted tone throughout the whole thing. So this book is about this girl who gets set up on a date by her aunties, I believe, and she goes on this date, and on their way home, some issues arise, and he ends up dead. So she brings this dead body to her aunties and asks for their help in kind of getting rid of it and figuring out what to do. But the aunties and the main character have a family business where they run weddings. So the next day, they're going to be running a wedding, and they accidentally put a body in a freezer, and that freezer gets shipped to the wedding. So the whole wedding, they're trying to work this wedding, but also try and dispose of this body before anyone notices. So it's a really funny, almost rom-com, but it's definitely has that horror element of like, there's a dead body, what are we gonna do with it? Kind of thing. And there's definitely some more like mysterious things happening throughout the wedding as well with certain characters. And it's just the most like chaotic book I think I've ever read, because the tone is so lighthearted, but there's literally like a dead body that they're trying to dispose of. So I feel like the tone of the song and the tone of this book really match up. I feel like both Psycho and Dial A for Aunties have more serious things that they're talking about and discussing in them, but it's kind of hiding behind this more like lighthearted facade. So I just think they're both a lot of fun. The song's a bop, the book was so much fun, so I definitely think that they match up pretty well. So my third most played song of the year was Brutal by Olivia Rodrigo, and I feel like my book recommendation kind of matches up lyric-wise, but also just like the idea of the song is about how difficult, how brutal it is to be a teenager, and I definitely feel like the teenagers in the book I'm going to recommend are definitely going through it. It's definitely brutal out there for them. And the book I'm going to be recommending is Ace of Spades by Frida Bike Imede. So in this book, we are following these two main characters, Devon and Chiamaka. I might be pronouncing their names wrong, I should have looked it up before, but please feel free to correct me. But these two students attend this academy that's very like prestigious, and they are both chosen to be like the school prefects their senior year. So they think that that's going to be, a good indication of how their senior year is going to go for them, but there's actually this person named Aces who is starting to spread information about them. Things, private videos, things about them that nobody knows. They're starting to spread them around the school. It's very Gossip Girl-esque. The thing is though that the texts and the videos and the things that are getting shared by this anonymous person, it's starting to become very dangerous for them. You can tell that because they are the only two like black students in their school, that might be kind of the reason behind why this is happening to them. And so it's definitely brutal being a teenager in general, but when you are being targeted for your race, it's a whole other level of just how terrible it was. So I think kind of a lot of the lyrics kind of line up with these characters as well. The lines in the song about like, I wish people liked me more, and like, all I did was try my best. That's the kind of things I get. It's hard not to sing these words, but you don't want to hear me sing. And also the part of the song, I hate the way I'm perceived, I only have two friends, and lately I'm a nervous wreck. I feel like is kind of how these characters are feeling in this situation, because these anonymous messages and these things being spread about them are just escalating in severity. So I feel like the song really matches up with what they're going through, because it definitely is brutal for them. It's like a whole other level. Just being a teenager is tough, but like what they're going through is so much tougher. And this book was so good. I think I read it pretty quickly because it's very thrilling. You kind of just want to know what's going on. You want to know who's behind aces. You want to know why these characters specifically are being targeted. So I definitely feel like this matches up with brutal, and I also cannot recommend this book enough. Alright, my fourth most played song of the year was also by Olivia Rodrigo, and it was Deja Vu. So this song, I was really struggling to figure out what book to do for this, so this one might be a bit of a reach, but I think it kind of represents a part of this book, so we're just gonna go for it. So the book I'm matching up with Deja Vu is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Obviously there is the line in Deja Vu that it starts off saying, "Car rides in Malibu," so that's my reason. Thank you. Next. Just kidding. So I feel like Deja Vu as a song is kind of talking about this guy who is now with another girl, and Olivia is singing about how he might be getting deja vu because his relationship with this other girl, or whoever, is very similar to his relationship with her, or his past relationship with her, I should say. They're doing the same things, they're singing the same songs, he's making the same jokes, doing the same things that he did with her in their past relationship. So she's kind of wondering if he gets deja vu when he's with his new person, his new partner. So I connected it to this book. First of all, I'll tell you what this book is about really quickly. So we're following these four siblings who live in Malibu, and they have a famous father who has kind of just never been there for them, kind of abandoned them. They don't like to be associated with him, but because they're all kind of famous, they kind of are. The four kids are actually kind of well-known and celebrities all on their own, partially because of their father, but they also all surf or do something, and so they also throw this party every year, and that is kind of what this book is leading up to and what you see and what the major conflict is in this book. But throughout the book, you are getting flashbacks to when the kids were younger. You're seeing them with their mom as well as their dad, Mick Riva, who is the famous one that kind of abandoned them. You see glimpses of his relationship with their mom and also how he kind of abandoned her and their kids. And I feel like this song very much represents what Mick Riva and June, their mother's relationship, was kind of like, and the kind of struggles that they faced throughout the years. I feel like this song is very representative of how Mick Riva treated her and what he did to her. I just feel like they kind of match up really well. So obviously this song isn't describing a majority of this book, but I feel like it is describing a very important piece of the puzzle with this book, because their parents and their kind of upbringing is a very big part of these four siblings, the main characters, and why they are doing what they're doing and why they are the way that they are. So I thought this connected to Deja Vu, but also if you think I'm reaching, just remember the line about Malibu, and that's what I'm going with. So the final song, my fifth most played song of the year, was August by Taylor Swift, one of my favorite songs of all time. Love it so much. But this song is actually a part of a bigger theme within the Folklore album, which is the album this song is a part of. It's a part of this love triangle storyline, so you kind of get a bit more insight as to what this song is about based off of the other songs, which I find interesting. But for the most part, this song is from the perspective of someone who is reminiscing on a relationship that didn't work out because the person you were with was already in another relationship back home, and you thought it was love, you thought it was, you know, the real thing, but they weren't really as committed as you were. So it's very like reminiscing on a past relationship that didn't work out, and you know that it couldn't work out because of the situation, but it just was something that you can't really let go of. So the book I'm going to be recommending for August is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. So this is a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in the 1920s in Shanghai. We are following Roma and Juliet, who are both members of two rivaling gangs. But we learn in this book that Roma and Juliet, when they were 16 years old, had this romance, had feelings for one another, and got really close. But there was something that happened that now in the present day, they do not speak, they do not get along, they are kind of enemies again, and they are definitely like, we are on rival gangs and we cannot get along. We also have a monster that is kind of overtaking the city and killing people, so Roma and Juliet kind of have to put their differences aside to figure out what's happening. But while they are kind of working together, it kind of forces them to reflect and reminisce on their past relationship. And I think they were, young and naive and thought that they were in love and thought everything could work out. And then in the present day, throughout this book, it clearly was not the case. That's not what happened. And they're reminiscing a lot on their past relationship. And there's a couple lines from August, to live for the hope of it all. I feel like that's just their relationship in general when they were younger, just hoping things can work out, because even though they are a part of these rival gangs, they do have these feelings for one another, and how they were young and naive and they were just living for the hope that it would work out. And I also feel like the line, "'cause you were never mine," really is also about them as well, because they were in this relationship, but they were never really able to be together in the way that they would have wanted. So yeah, I definitely feel like certain lyrics in August definitely reflect Roma and Juliet's relationship when they were younger, but also when they're, present day, a little bit older, kind of looking back on that relationship as well. I definitely don't think it matches up exactly, but I definitely feel like there's some standout lyrics that could definitely represent them. Alright, that is it. Those are my 5 2021 reads that I'm recommending to you based off of my top 5 songs on Spotify this year. I feel like this is going to be something I'm going to have to do every year now, because it was so much fun trying to match up books that I loved and read this year with songs that were my top 5 most listened to songs this year. It was just really fun. So I would definitely love to know, if you use Spotify, if you got your Spotify Wrapped, what your top 5 most listened to songs were, because I'm nosy. But I think that is going to be it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.